I still remember the exact words that pierced through my chest like a cold blade. "Mom, I sold your beach house and your car. We're leaving tomorrow. Europe awaits. You'll be fine." It wasn't just what my daughter Jessica said. It was how she said it. Flat, casual, as if she were discussing the weather. My heart stopped, and for a second I thought maybe my hearing was failing with age. But no. She meant every word. I froze, the phone still pressed to my ear, the air in my chest refusing to move. At that very moment, an old saying my husband Bill used to repeat echoed in my head. Money can reveal hearts more than words ever will. I had spent decades raising Jessica, sacrificing, protecting, teaching her values. And now, she had sold the very house where I poured all my love, memories, and years of labor with her father. My husband's old Chevy, his pride and joy gone too. But worse than losing bricks and wheels, I had just lost my daughter, at least the daughter I thought I knew. Before we continue with today's dramatic journey, make sure you're subscribed to Twist Stories and have the notification bell turned on. This is where you'll always encounter unforgettable tales of sacrifice, betrayal, and unexpected turns that take your breath away. And now, I'd love to know, where are you watching from? Share it in the comments because the next story might reflect a chapter from your own life. Her words lingered in the silence after the call ended, like shards of glass lodged in my chest. I sat there, phone still in my hand, staring at the photograph of Bill on the wall. His smile, steady, kind, reassuring, suddenly felt like a question. "Maggie, will you let them trample everything we built?" I couldn't breathe. That house by the ocean wasn't just real estate. It was the summers we scraped and saved for, the nights Bill came home smelling of sawdust and salt air, the afternoons Jessica learned to swim while I cheered from the deck, and his old Chevy, his pride, his joy, that was gone too, sold like junk. As if the blow wasn't enough, Jessica had added a final insult, her voice casual, dismissive. "Don't worry, Mom, we left you 30%. That should be enough for you to find a little place." 30% of my life, of Bill's sweat, of the home where our vows and laughter still lived in the walls. I should have screamed. I should have begged. Instead, I pressed record. My thumb moved almost on its own, capturing her words on the voice memo app. A quiet, trembling decision. That little red file blinked back at me. Recording saved. I didn't know why I did it. Not yet. But it felt like armor. A weapon forged out of betrayal. The days that followed only twisted the knife deeper. When I went to check the mailbox at the beach house, the locks were already changed. My name scrubbed from the documents. The real estate agent with a rehearsed smile shrugged at my outrage. "Sales finalized. Your daughter signed as joint heir." I felt the world tilt. Signed away my life. Without me. I confronted Jessica, hoping maybe shame would crack her facade. Instead, she laughed. "Mom, you're not young anymore. You don't need a big place. Don't be selfish. Eric and I have plans. Europe is just the start." Selfish. That word cut deeper than any blade. After I had stitched her prom dress because we couldn't afford the boutique version. After double shifts paid for her tuition while my health faltered. After decades of meals skipped so she could eat first. Selfish. I looked at the woman before me. The same face I once kissed 1,000 times as a child, now hardened, greedy, unreachable. And in that moment, I whispered a promise only Bill could hear. This is not the end. She will learn what respect means. That night, I opened the drawer I had avoided for years. Inside was a sealed envelope yellowed at the edges, with Bill's handwriting on it. "Open this when the world turns dark." I had tucked it away after his funeral, unable to face the pain. But now, with Jessica's betrayal ringing in my ears, I tore it open. Inside was not just a letter, but a small USB drive. My hands shook as I slid it into the laptop. And then, Bill's voice filled the room. "Maggie, if you're hearing this, it means I'm gone. But you are not alone. The houses, the savings, even the company shares, they're all yours. I made sure of it. And if Jessica ever forgets where she came from, you'll have the proof to remind her." I covered my mouth, tears streaming as his voice wrapped around me. It was love. It was warning. It was fire in the dark. Jessica thought she had won. She had no idea the game had only just begun. Before we continue with today's dramatic journey, make sure you're subscribed to Twist Stories and turn on the notification bell. Here you'll always find unforgettable tales of sacrifice, betrayal, and shocking twists that take your breath away. And tell me, where are you watching from right now? Leave a comment below, because the next story might remind you of your own life. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I didn't even call Jessica back. I sat alone in the dim kitchen, listening to Bill's words again and again until dawn. Each time, his voice grew stronger in me, steady, guiding, unyielding. And somewhere between night and morning, I realized something. Jessica hadn't just sold a house. She had sold her place as my daughter, but I wasn't powerless, not anymore. The beach house might have been signed away on paper, but Bill had left me something stronger than deeds. He had left me a plan, and with that plan, I would make Jessica see. My story truly begins there. The morning after hearing Bill's voice on that USB, I woke up with a fire I hadn't felt in years. Steam curled from my coffee cup as I sat by the kitchen window, whispering into the dawn, "Bill, I hear you. I'll do this right." But knowing and acting are never the same, and the days that followed only carved the wound deeper. Jessica's voice came sharp and impatient across the line. "Mom, did you find a new place yet? Eric and I are flying out tomorrow. I need to make sure you're not hanging around the apartment." The words tasted like ash. "The apartment?" I asked, though I already knew. "Yes, my apartment. The papers are signed. Please don't make this harder than it has to be." I gripped the phone so tightly my knuckles whitened. Fury boiled in me, begging to spill out, but I swallowed it down. "I'll figure something out," I murmured. She didn't even bother with goodbye. Mini cliffhanger. The line went dead, but something in me had just awakened. That evening, Linda Parker showed up with a casserole, her soft eyes searching mine. "Maggie, honey, are you all right? You look pale." I wanted to crumble into her arms, confess everything, but pride forced me to smile. "I'm fine, Linda, just tired." She pressed my hand, firm. "You've carried too much for too long. Don't let anyone take advantage of you, not even family." Her words echoed in me long after she left. At the grocery store, I heard them before I saw them. Two women leaning close by the produce aisle. "Did you hear? Jessica sold her mother's beach house, left her high and dry." "What kind of daughter does that?" I walked past with my head high, but inside shame gnawed at me. Not for myself, but for Jessica. I had raised her with love, and now her name was a scandal whispered behind hands. A week later, the final blow arrived in the mail. An eviction notice, 30 days to vacate. The letters blurred as tears burned my eyes. My daughter hadn't just betrayed me emotionally, she'd stripped me of shelter. I called in panic, voice shaking. Jessica's laugh rang through the receiver. She laughed. "Mom, you'll thank me later. This will force you to live simpler. You don't need space anymore. Eric and I need cash for our Europe trip. Don't make this about you." Don't make this about me? My entire life had been about her. My youth, my health, my savings poured into her future. I clenched the phone, whispering through clenched teeth. "One day, Jessica, you'll understand, but by then, it might be too late." The line clicked, dead. That night, I sat at Bill's old desk. The USB glowed faintly in the laptop, his voice filling the silence once more. "Maggie, If Jessica ever forgets who you are, you must stand strong. Do not weep. Use what I left you. Teach her the meaning of respect. Tears hardened into steel. It was time to act. I walked into Mr. Harris's office, the smell of leather and dust greeting me. His face softened with recognition. "Maggie Collins, it's been too long. I wish I came under better circumstances," I whispered. I slid the envelope and USB across his desk. He listened, silent, as I described Jessica's betrayal. When Bill's recorded voice played, the lawyer leaned back, nodding slowly. "William anticipated this. Maggie, the assets are legally yours. Jessica had no right to sell anything without your consent. We can reclaim it all." Relief rushed through me, followed instantly by sorrow. To drag my own daughter into court, to expose her cruelty. Mr. Harris leaned forward, his voice firm. "Sometimes the hardest act of love is letting them face the consequences. If you don't, she'll never learn." His words cut deep. He was right. Meanwhile, Jessica's fairy tale in Europe cracked at the seams. Whispers reached me. Eric flirting at a bar. Eric chasing shady investments. Jessica, blinded by greed, didn't see the storm. And I chose silence. I let her believe she had won, strutting across the ocean, while in my drawer lay proof and power she could never imagine. 2 months later, the phone rang again. Her voice, no longer sharp, cracked and broken. "Mom, Eric disappeared. He left me with debts. I can't even afford a ticket home. Please, can you send me money?" For a moment, the mother in me stirred, aching to rescue her child. But then the memories surged back, her laughter at my eviction, her cold dismissal, her greed. I steadied my breath. "I don't have much to give, Jessica, but you'll figure it out. You're strong." Her gasp pierced me. "Mom, are you serious? You're leaving me stranded?" I closed my eyes, fighting back tears. "No, Jessica, you left me stranded long before this." And I hung up. She came back eventually, ragged, clothes once polished now reduced to rags, eyes red with shame. I felt no triumph, only sorrow, but I didn't turn her away, nor did I embrace her. Instead, I handed her a broom. "If you're staying here, Jessica, you'll earn it. Chores first, respect later." Her eyes widened, humiliated, but she took it. For the first time in years, my daughter worked under my roof, not as a princess, but as someone humbled. If you've ever been betrayed by the very child you sacrificed everything for, you know the knife that never stops twisting. Jessica thought the worst was behind her. She thought sweeping my floors would be the end of her punishment, but she had no idea. The true twist was still waiting. The sound of the broom sweeping across my kitchen floor felt like a ghost moving through the house. Jessica, my Jessica, once so proud and untouchable, was now bent over, gathering crumbs like a stranger. The yellow morning light spilled across the tiles, dust motes dancing between us like little secrets. I stood at the doorway, arms crossed, heart split in two. Part of me ached for the child I'd once rocked to sleep. Another part, colder and harder, whispered, "Maybe this is the only way she'll ever learn?" She barely spoke in those first days. She cooked simple meals, washed dishes in silence, and curled up in the small guest room at the back of the house. The sparkle in her eyes had vanished, leaving only a gray heaviness. Mini cliffhanger. Pity tugged at me, but pity had brought us here. One evening, I found her at the kitchen table, her head buried in her hands. Outside, the sky burned orange with a winter sunset. "Mom," her voice was raw, "I don't know how it all went wrong. Eric left me with debt collectors chasing me across Europe. He drained the accounts and vanished. I thought he loved me." Her words trembled like glass. For a heartbeat, I saw my little girl again, the one who used to run into my arms with scraped knees and wide eyes. I reached out, placing my hand over hers. "Jess, Love isn't about how much someone can give you or how glamorous they make your life. It's about loyalty, standing beside you when things are hard. Bill lived by that. I tried to teach you that. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I know, Mom. I see it now. I was so blind. I wanted to believe her. But words spoken in desperation are like smoke. They vanish when the wind shifts. That night, I sat at Bill's old desk, opening the envelope again. Inside, alongside his letter and the USB, lay neatly folded property deeds and bank statements, proof that every brick, every dollar legally belonged to me. Mr. Harris had advised me to hold off to let Jessica face the natural consequences first, but I could feel the time approaching, like a storm rolling closer. The next week, a sharp knock rattled my front door. The sound echoed through the hall like a gavel striking. When I opened it, two stern-looking men stood there, one holding a clipboard, the other a thin smile that never reached his eyes. "Are you Jessica Miller?" the man asked, glancing past me into the house. Jessica appeared behind me, her face draining of color. "Yes. Why?" "Outstanding debts," the man said flatly. "Mr. Turner listed you as co-signer. If payments aren't made, legal action will follow." They handed her a thick packet of papers and left without another word. Jessica clutched the documents, hands trembling. "Mom, I can't. This is too much. I'll never pay this off." I stayed calm, though inside my heart ached. "Sit down, Jess. Read every line. Running won't fix it." She sank into a chair, sobs echoing through the kitchen. The evening light turned her face into a portrait of defeat, mini cliffhanger. For the first time, it wasn't just a lesson. The world itself was pressing her into the ground. That night, after she cried herself to sleep, I wrote in my journal. Not just notes about the day, but my fears, my plan, my doubts. Was Jessica truly remorseful, or was this just another mask worn until she could stand tall again? I didn't know, so I decided to wait, to watch, to test her. In the days that followed, Jessica tried, at least on the surface. She cooked, she scrubbed, she even took on odd cleaning jobs at night. I watched from a doorway one evening as she scrubbed an office floor under flickering fluorescent lights, her once manicured hands now raw and blistered. My heart twisted, but I said nothing. Was this repentance or mere survival? Meanwhile, Mr. Harris updated me on the legal process. "We've secured all your assets, Maggie. The house Jessica sold can be reclaimed under fraud. We'll file the papers soon." Relief flickered through me, but I held it close, hidden. Not yet. Not until I knew. Then came the confrontation that split the air like thunder. Jessica stormed into the kitchen one morning, her eyes blazing. "Mom, I went to the landlord's office yesterday to negotiate. Do you know what they said? They laughed at me. They called me irresponsible, a spoiled brat who couldn't manage a dime in front of everyone." Her hands slammed the table, rattling the mugs. "I was humiliated." I looked at her evenly. "Jess, they only spoke the truth you showed them. You let Eric lead you. You sold what wasn't yours. You betrayed your own blood." Her lips quivered, rage and shame fighting on her face. I hate him. I hate myself." I took a deep breath. "Then prove it. Don't just cry about it. Change. Show me with actions." For a moment, silence hung heavy between us, broken only by the ticking clock. Then she whispered, almost like a vow, "I will." Mini cliffhanger. Was this a turning point, or just another promise floating in the air? That night, I pulled out the USB again. Bill's voice filled the room, warm and steady like a hand on my shoulder. "Maggie, if Jessica ever strays, guide her back. But remember, love without boundaries is not love. It's weakness. Hold her accountable. Only then will she grow." I pressed the device to my chest, tears streaming down my cheeks. He was right. If I caved now, she would never change. 2 weeks later, the house was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator. Jessica walked in from her night shift, exhaustion etched into her face. She placed a small paycheck on the table. "Here, Mom," she said softly. "It's not much, but maybe it can help with groceries." I stared at the wrinkled bills in my hand. For years, Jessica had taken, demanded, expected, and now she was giving, even if it was all she had. Something cracked inside me. Maybe, just maybe, she was starting to see, but I couldn't reveal everything yet. Not the deeds, not the inheritance, not Bill's full plan. Instead, I tucked the money away and said softly, "Thank you, Jess. Every step counts." She nodded, her eyes weary but sincere. As she turned away, I whispered to myself, "Bill, we're almost there. She's beginning to understand." If you were in my shoes, would you reveal the inheritance now or wait longer? Would you let your child suffer more pain or give them the truth before they were ready? For me, the choice was clear. I would wait, just a little longer, because the lesson wasn't complete yet, and the twist was still waiting in the shadows. The day began deceptively quiet. Jessica left early, her shoulders hunched, heading downtown to scrub offices. From the window, I watched her shrinking figure, Bill's USB clutched tight in my palm. For weeks, I had tested her, waited for the mask to slip. But instead of fading, her effort grew. No complaints when she washed the floors, no sarcasm when she cooked. Last night, when a coughing fit racked me in the kitchen, she silently brought me tea, her hands trembling as she set it down. Still, love had blinded me once before. I couldn't let it blind me again. That afternoon, thunder arrived not from the sky, but from the pounding at my door. 2 men in leather jackets stood there, eyes hard. Jessica opened it and stumbled back as one shoved a paper into her hands. "Final notice," the man growled. "Pay up or we take you to court. And trust me, you don't want us showing up again." The door slammed behind them. Jessica's face went pale as parchment, her hands trembling around the notice. She collapsed into a chair, sobbing. "Mom, I can't do this anymore. I've lost everything. Eric ruined me. I ruined myself, and I ruined you." Her words shattered something inside me, but at the same time, they hardened my resolve. It was time. Mini cliffhanger. The storm outside had only just broken. The next morning, I called Mr. Harris. "Arrange the meeting," I said. He didn't need to ask what I meant. 2 days later, Jessica and I sat in his office. She clutched her worn purse like it was the last scrap of dignity she owned. The room smelled of leather and old wood, the only light coming from a small laptop glowing on his desk. "Jessica," Mr. Harris began, his voice measured, "your mother asked me to show you something today." Jessica frowned, defensive. "What could you possibly show me? That I'm a failure? That I ruined my life?" Her voice cracked, but anger laced every word. Mr. Harris said nothing. He pressed a button. The screen flickered. And then, Bill's voice filled the room. "Jess," he said gently, "if you're hearing this, it means you've strayed from what your mother and I taught you. We worked all our lives not for money, but for you, to give you security, to teach you values. Every property, every dollar belongs to your mother. She is the rightful keeper of it all. And if you've ever doubted her strength, let this remind you, she is the foundation of this family." Jessica's hand flew to her mouth. Her body trembled as tears streamed down her face. "Dad," she whispered. Bill's voice pressed on, steady as stone. "Respect is not given by birthright. It is earned by love, loyalty, and kindness. If you betrayed your mother, remember this. She has the power to forgive, but forgiveness is not free. Earn it, Jessica. Show her you understand." The room fell silent. Jessica turned to me, her eyes wide with shock. "Mom, all this time, you had everything? The houses? The money? You let me believe you had nothing?" I met her gaze, my own eyes burning. "Yes, Jessica. I let you fall because you needed to feel what you put me through. Respect isn't measured in inheritance. It's measured in how you treat people." Her face crumpled. She sank to the floor, clutching my knees. "I'm sorry, Mom. I was blind, selfish, cruel. I don't deserve your forgiveness." I placed my hand gently on her hair, my voice firm. "You're right. You don't deserve it, but you can earn it." Mini cliffhanger. For the first time, she listened like a child again. The silence in that office was suffocating, broken only by Jessica's sobs. Mr. Harris leaned forward. "Mrs. Collins, all documents are secured. Legally, everything is under your name. You may press charges for fraud, or you may choose another path." Jessica lifted her head, terror in her eyes. "Mom, please, don't send me to prison. I'll do anything. I'll work. I'll change. Just don't abandon me." I studied her face, searching for lies, but all I saw was a broken woman stripped of pride. I stood, my voice steady as a blade. "This villa, these properties, this money, they are mine, and you've trespassed not just in my home, but in my trust." Jessica flinched at every word. "But I won't send you to prison. I won't destroy you the way you destroyed me. Instead, I'll give you one final chance. From now on, you earn your place. No shortcuts, no lies, no greed." Her tears pooled on the floor. "I will, Mom. I swear, I will." In the weeks that followed, I watched her rebuild, not with luxury, but with blistered hands. She sold her last pieces of jewelry to pay debts. She worked cleaning jobs without complaint. And instead of demanding from me, she offered small things: folded laundry, mended chairs, loaves of bread from scratch. For the first time in years, she was giving instead of taking. The scars in my heart didn't vanish, but something softened. This was the justice I had prayed for. Not revenge through punishment, but through transformation. Mini cliffhanger. Yet even redemption comes with shadows waiting at the door. One evening, a knock came again. This time, it was a police officer. He explained calmly that Eric had been arrested abroad for fraud, identity theft, and theft. He would spend years in prison. When Jessica heard, she didn't curse him. She didn't gloat. She whispered, almost to herself, "I chose him over you, Mom, and this is where it led me. I won't make that mistake again." Her words settled over me like balm on a wound I thought would never close. If it were you, watching your child fall so low, would you have the strength to let them climb back up on their own? Or would your heart give in too soon, rushing to rescue them? I chose the harder path, and for the first time I felt Bill beside me, proud, because justice had been served, not by destruction, but by redemption. The weeks after Eric's arrest passed slowly, but for the first time in years, my home felt different. The air was lighter, not because the pain had vanished, but because truth had finally been spoken. Jessica no longer strutted with pride or snapped with arrogance. Instead, she moved quietly, carefully, as if every step she took was a promise she was trying to keep. One morning, I found her sitting at the table with a stack of textbooks. I raised an eyebrow. "What's all this?" She looked up, her eyes tired but earnest. "I enrolled in community college, social work. I want to help women who've been through what I went through, or worse. If anyone needs to know how quickly life can collapse, it's me." Her voice trembled, but I saw something new there, humility mixed with purpose. I nodded slowly. "That's good, Jess. That's more than good. That's the right path." Life didn't turn into a fairy tale. It wasn't easy. The debts didn't vanish overnight. The scars on my heart or hers didn't disappear with a few apologies. But something real had shifted. Jessica worked nights cleaning, days studying, and evenings helping me around the house. Sometimes I caught her staring at Bill's photo, whispering a quiet apology. Other times she sat with me in silence. No words spoken, just the kind of presence that had been missing for years. And I began to breathe easier. The most powerful moment came months later, when Jessica approached me with a small envelope. "Mom," she said, placing it on the table, "this is from my cleaning jobs. It's not much, but I want to pay for part of the utilities this month. I don't want to just take any more." I opened the envelope to see a few wrinkled bills and coins. My throat tightened. It wasn't about the money. It was about the act. The daughter who once sold my house and car for her own gain was now trying to contribute, no matter how little. I placed the envelope back in her hands and smiled. "Keep it, Jess. Use it for your books. Your father would want that." She broke into tears, and for the first time in years, I pulled her into my arms without hesitation. Months turned into a year. Together, we rebuilt. Not the house, not the bank accounts, but something far more fragile: trust. One spring afternoon, we returned to the beach house. The sun dipped low, painting the sky with hues of gold and crimson. Jessica stood at the porch, her hands trailing along the wooden rails she had once sold without a thought. "I don't deserve this house," she whispered. I stood beside her, gazing at the waves rolling in. "Maybe not, but you deserve a chance to rebuild who you are. That's worth more than any property." She looked at me, eyes glistening. "I'll spend the rest of my life proving it." And in that moment, I believed her. Later, we made a decision, together. The beach house wouldn't just be ours, it would become a refuge. With Mr. Harris's guidance, we began turning it into a small retreat for women left abandoned, betrayed or widowed, just like I once was, and just like Jessica once felt. It wasn't about money anymore, it was about legacy, about making pain serve a purpose. Standing in that house, watching women gather, share their stories, and support one another, I felt Bill's presence everywhere, his laughter in the walls, his voice in the ocean breeze. He hadn't just left us an inheritance of property, he left us an inheritance of strength. Jessica often joined the meetings, listening quietly, sometimes sharing her own downfall and rise. Her humility became her strength, her scars became her testimony, and me? I finally understood something I wish I had realized long ago. Being a mother isn't about shielding your child from pain. Sometimes it's about letting them walk into it so they can find their own way out. I tell you all this not because it was easy, but because it was real. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you love, you know the wound doesn't close quickly. But you also know this: pain can be a teacher. And sometimes, the very people who hurt us the most can become the ones who change the most, if we hold the line, if we keep the boundaries, if we let them face the truth. So let me ask you, if you were in my shoes, would you have done the same? Would you have let your daughter fall so far just so she could rise again? Or would you have stepped in sooner? I don't claim to have all the answers. But I do know this: respect isn't given by blood alone. It is earned through love, kindness, and the courage to admit when you've been wrong. And sometimes, the most powerful revenge is not destroying the one who hurt you, but watching them transform into someone better. So here I stand, Margaret Collins, no longer just a widow or a victim, but a mother who found justice not in courtrooms or punishments, but in redemption. And if Bill were here today, I know he'd smile and say, "Maggie, you did it. You taught her. You stood strong." That's all I ever wanted. If this story touched you, tell me. Have you ever experienced betrayal inside your own family? Did it change you, or did it change them? Share your story in the comments. Someone out there may need to hear it. And don't forget, Subscribe to Twist Stories and ring the bell so you never miss another tale of sacrifice, betrayal, and the twists that remind us all. No one suffers alone. Because here, every story is a reminder of justice, of healing, and of hope.